welcome to Real Truth for Today with Pastor Jeff Schreve, Senior Pastor of First Baptist Church in Texarkana, Texas. Now, here's Pastor Jeff.
Well, good morning and welcome to Real Truth for Today. Hey, let me ask you a question. What is your favorite Bible character? I think for lots of people, especially younger people, especially younger boys, I have 3 grandsons, young grandsons, Jack, Chase, and Drew. And Drew's only a year old, so he wouldn't be able to answer the question. But Jack and Chase, when they do their picture Bible story books with their parents, they love the story of Samson. Samson, the Hebrew strongman. Samson is a character in Scripture in the book of Judges. He was one of the judges who delivered Israel, and he is one that people just gravitate to because of his unbelievable strength. Now, many people have this idea of Samson that, he looked like Hercules. He was just this huge, muscled up guy. I think he was probably a pretty good sized guy. He had to carry city gates on his shoulders. But I find that he may not have looked like what we think he looked like. He may not have been a young Arnold Schwarzenegger in his prime kind of guy. He may have looked more like a regular guy because they were always trying to figure out what is the source of his great strength. Now, if you look like Arnold Schwarzenegger, you look like Hercules, then it's like, well, yeah, the source of his great strength are his, 26-inch biceps. He's muscled up to the max. But if you look like a regular guy and you're killing 1,000 Philistines with the jawbone of a donkey, then people wonder, how are you able to do this? What is the source of your great strength? Well, when it comes to Samson, he is a favorite for many. But Samson is kind of an enigma. He's one of these guys in Scripture that we say, okay, I don't get it. You're set apart from your mother's womb, a Nazirite from the womb, that the angel, which was the angel of the Lord, that came to Samson's mother, and she was by herself, and her husband Manoah is there the next time when the angel of the Lord comes, and they have this encounter with God, and they know it's God, and Manoah says after the encounter is over and the angel of the Lord goes up in the fire, Manoah says, we're going to die. We will surely die, he tells his wife, for we have seen God. He knew this isn't any old angel of the Lord. This is the angel of the Lord. But the angel of the Lord, God told Mrs. Manoah, Samson's mother, that you shall conceive and give birth to a son, and no razor shall come upon his head, for the boy shall be a Nazirite to God from the womb, and he shall begin to deliver Israel from the hands of the Philistines. Now, if you know anything about the book of Judges, you know it's a broken record of the people getting away from God, and then they would be subjugated by the enemies that lived around them. They were supposed to eradicate all of them out, but they didn't do it. They hit the inhabitants of the land that had iron chariots, and they weren't able to drive them out, so they just said, well, we'll just keep them here. They'll be our slaves. But when Israel got away from the Lord, then those slaves rose up, and then those slaves and those people in the surrounding areas, they took over, and Israel served them. And so judges would come to deliver. And the most famous of judges, not the best judge by any stretch of the imagination, but probably the most famous of judges is Samson, the Hebrew strongman. And Samson had this incredible wealth. Well, Samson also had a problem. I like what Chuck Swindoll said about him one time. It's so true. Samson was a he-man with a she weakness. And Samson had a problem with women. He just could not control his lust. Very interesting when you look at the life of Samson. The very first thing ever recorded in Scripture that Samson ever said, Judges chapter 14, verse 2, I saw a woman. Yeah, he's going to have a woman problem and women problem his whole life. And Delilah, the woman that he loved, toward the end of his life, he judged Israel for 20 years, and he had this problem with lust, and he ends up with Delilah, and he ends up telling Delilah the secret of his great strength, which is, he says, a razor has not come upon my head all the days of my life, and so if you cut my hair, I'll be weak as any man. And the hair was a symbol of his vow to God. You know, a Nazirite wasn't supposed to touch anything dead, wasn't supposed to drink anything, the fruit of the vine, and he wasn't supposed to cut his hair, those three things. And he had a Nazirite vow from the womb. But we read in the life, in the record of Samuel, he touches something dead when he pulls out honey from the carcass of the lion that he killed. And then he has a drinking party with the Philistines as he wants to marry that Philistine girl. And so there's the inference there is he's drinking wine. And then he has Delilah, or she dupes him into getting his hair cut. And he ends up getting his eyes gouged out. And the end of his life, he's a grinder at the mill, blind and bound and grinding at the mill. Such a terrible, horrible situation. I preached on him a number of years ago, and I called it playing too close to the fire, because Samson is a guy that liked to get right at the edge of temptation. And just like with Delilah, you know, she said, Samson, please tell me the secret of your great strength. How can you say you love me if you won't tell me the secret of your great strength? And so he would kind of play around with her. Well, it's if you put my hair in a bun, then I'm going to be weak as any man. And he had all these things. If you tie me with fresh ropes, then I'll be weak as any man. He had all these things that he would say to her. And then she would say, the Philistines are upon you, Samson. And he snapped the ropes like it was a thread. And, he was able to deliver himself. But when she finally wept and wept and wept, and he couldn't take her tears, and she said, how can you say you love me if you don't tell me the truth? And so then he finally tells her all that was in his heart. And she knew, he has told me the truth. He said, if I'm shaved, then my strength will leave me, and I will become weak and be like any other man. And so she did it. And you think to yourself, hey, Samson, how stupid can you be? I mean, good night. She's done this to you twice. The Philistines are upon you, Samson. And you thought it was a big joke. But now, with your head shaved, it's not a big joke. And one of the key verses in the life of Samson is when she shaves, she causes him to fall asleep on her knees, and then she shaves his head and cuts off the 7 locks of his hair. And then she wakes him up and she says, the Philistines are upon you, Samson. And he awoke from his sleep and said, I will go out as at other times and shake myself free. But he did not know that the Lord had departed from him. He did not know that the Lord had left him. He played too close to the fire. What happens when you play too close to the fire? You eventually get burned. Hey, the Bible tells us in Galatians chapter 6, do not be deceived. God is not mocked. For whatever a man sows, this he will also reap. For the one who sows to his own flesh will from the flesh reap corruption, but the one who sows to the Spirit shall from the Spirit reap eternal life. Hey, that reaping and sowing is true in agriculture. It's also true in life. It's true in your spiritual life. If you sow to the flesh and you live a life of wanton pleasure, you're going to reap a bitter, bitter crop. But if you sow to the Spirit and you do those things that are pleasing to God, well, then you're going to reap a life that is overflowing with the blessings of God. Jesus said, I came that they might have life and might have it abundantly. So Samson, he's a judge and judged Israel for all those years. And we know the end of his life, so they're laughing at him. He is blind. He's a grinder in their mill. and the day comes when they're having this big assembly to offer great sacrifices to the false god Dagon, their god, and to rejoice. And they said, our God has given Samson, our enemy, into our hands. And when the people saw him, they praised their God, for they said, our God has given our enemy into our hands, even the destroyer of our country, who has slain many of us. That's what Samson had done. And it happened when they were in high spirits that they said, call for Samson, that he may amuse us. So they called for Samson from the prison, and he entertained them. And they made him stand between the pillars. Then Samson said to the boy who was holding his hand, let me feel the pillars on which the house rests, that I may lean against them. This is the deliverer of Israel. He's being laughed at by the Philistines. But he says to the Lord, it says, now the house was full of men and women, and all the lords of the Philistines were there. About 3,000 men and women were on the roof looking on Samson as he was amusing them. Not that Samson was juggling or doing something like that. They were just laughing at him. Then Samson called to the Lord and said, O Lord God, please remember me, and please strengthen me just this time, O God, that I may at once be avenged of the Philistines for my 2 eyes. Then Samson grasped the 2 middle pillars on which the house rested and braced himself against them, the one with his right hand and the other with his left. And Samson said, let me die. Well, I lost my place. And Samson said, let me die with the Philistines. And he bent with all his might, so that the house fell on the lords and all the people who were in it. So the dead whom he killed at his death were more than those whom he killed in his life. You know, we idolize Samson, but we need to learn lessons from Samson. You can't play too close to the fire. Make no provision for the flesh with regard to its lusts. The flesh is not your friend. You think you can play around with sexual immorality. You think you can play around with this sin, that sin, the other sin, and the deeds of the flesh. You can't. I can't. No one can. I like what my friend Bob Lepine said years ago. It's not, it didn't originate with him, but he shared it, and I've never forgotten it. We like, as Christians, we like to try and manage the flesh. We think we can control our appetites. We like to give in to lust and give in to greed and give in to jealousy and give in to these sins, thinking we can manage them. You can't manage the flesh. The flesh is like a cancer. You have to put the flesh to death. You have to mortify the flesh. The Apostle Paul said in Colossians chapter 3, if then you've been raised with Christ, keep seeking the things above, where Christ is seated at the right hand of God. Set your mind on the things above, not on the things that are on earth, for you have died, and your life is hidden with Christ in God. When Christ, who is our life, is revealed, then you also will be revealed with him in glory. Okay, I've died. I'm dead to sin, Romans chapter 6. But then it tells me, Colossians 3:5, therefore, since I've died and my life is hidden with Christ in God, since I'm dead to sin, consider the members of your earthly body as dead to immorality, impurity, passion, evil desire, and greed, which amounts to idolatry. I am dead, but I have to every day consider myself dead, because I don't feel very dead towards sin. And so I have to claim it and reckon it and say, this is what is true of me. I have died to my old way of life. I have a brand new life in Jesus, and I'm not going to let the flesh win in this battle between the flesh and the spirit. Well, you're listening to Real Truth for Today. Pastor Jeff Schreve here. And when we come back from the break, we're going to be talking to the man who played Hercules, not quite Samson, but Hercules, Kevin Sorbo, a prolific actor and a person who loves the Lord with all his heart. You're listening to Real Truth for Today. I'm your host, Pastor Jeff Schreve. We'll be right back after the break. Don't go away.
Presenting AFA Stream, an online platform that hosts all AFA-produced video content, including documentaries, church curriculum, American Family Radio shows, and our Cultural Institute series.
I would submit that we are a Christian nation, and the proof of that is in our founding documents and in the U.S. Constitution itself, because our founders recognized for the first time in world history that our rights come from God, our Creator, not our government.
AFA Stream is a vital step that we are taking to fulfill our vision to be a leading organization in biblical worldview training for cultural transformation. You'll find top-notch resources that address the issues of our day related to marriage, family, the sanctity of life, and many others. Start streaming today. Stream.afa.net.
This is Real Truth for Today. Podcasts of the program are available on the podcast page at afr.net. Now, back to Pastor Jeff Schreve.
Welcome back to Real Truth for Today. Pastor Jeff Schreve here. Well, just a few weeks ago, I was at the National Religious Broadcasters Convention in Nashville, Tennessee at the beautiful Opryland Hotel. And one of the things that's so fun about going to the NRB is you get to see people that you don't normally see. People that are in the broadcasting industry and, radio people and television people and all the behind-the-scenes people, and then some upfront people that you would recognize, people that you see on camera, preachers or actors, and it's a lot of fun. I got to visit with Robert Jeffress, and I got to see Dr. Al Mohler and Phil Cook, who was on the program's good friend, and different ones. A couple of years ago, Pat Boone, got to visit with him some, and it's just fun. I've always liked that. Kirk Cameron has become a friend over the years, and just the things that those guys do and getting to hear from them and kind of rub shoulders with them and seeing what their lives are like. They're just people. People are people. But they have some interesting experiences. And so one of the blessings that I had in February when we were at the NRB was getting to interview Kevin Sorbo. Kevin Sorbo played Hercules in the series that was so popular back in the 90s. And so it was a treat to get to sit down with him and pick his brain and talk about what he is doing. Kevin Sorbo does not let the grass grow under his feet. That guy has done a lot of things, and he has lots of projects going. And he's, from a Christian perspective, he's maybe most well known for being Professor Radisson in the movie God's Not Dead. And many people saw God's Not Dead. It was a film that just blew out all kinds of records for a Christian movie. And so here is my interview with the one and only Kevin Sorbo. Well, it's a privilege to sit next to the man that played Hercules in the Hercules, the Legendary Journeys from 1995 to 1999.
I got to correct that. They always have the wrong date, 1993 to 2000.
Is that what it was?
That's what it was. They put those years down. We shot the series, started really in 94 and then up until 2000. But we shot 5 2-hour movies starting in 1993. It was 5 2-hour movies before it became a series.
Oh, wow.
It originally wasn't going to be a series, but by the middle of the third movie, Universal Studios called us up. We lived in New Zealand. That's where we shot it. That was home.
Yeah.
And they said, we love this. We're going to stay there and keep doing it. The movies, to me, I have such a fun, because that kind of kicked it all off. But the biggest, coolest thing, and you're old enough to be in the group that know what I'm talking about, is I got a whole year working with a superstar like Anthony Quinn.
Yeah.
And he played Zeus the whole time.
How cool.
I talked to people under 35, they don't know who the heck Anthony Quinn was. So.
Okay, so Arnold played Hercules.
He did.
Back in the day.
Yes.
I don't think they gave him any lines.
They dubbed his voice.
Yeah.
His Austrian accent was so heavy that they actually dubbed somebody else's voice in there.
Yeah.
Now I got to brag about this because you got Lou Ferrigno, and you got Arnold, you got Steve Reeves, who was just very cool. Because I remember my older brother showed me the old Hercules Unchained movies.
Yeah.
And who else was? God, Kellen Lutz. There was they did a who's the most popular and coolest Hercules ever. I got 88% of the vote.
Did you
over
really?
those guys? And The Rock was in there.
Really?
Dwayne Johnson played 1 year. Yeah.
All right.
So he really pumped up on some serious steroids, but I didn't do any steroids.
You have a lot. I mean, that's a lot of pressure to look the part.
Well, you know what? When my agent called me for that role originally, I was always in pretty good shape. I was an athlete, football, basketball, all kind of stuff. Even when I got to college, I still worked out all the time. And I was like 2 blocks from Gold's Gym when I first moved to LA in Santa Monica. And I was always in shape. I stayed, I'm 6'3". I'm 210 now, but I was between 225 and 230 during those years.
Okay.
And I thought,
lifting heavy.
I said, I'm big. I said, I don't take steroids. I mean, with my body frame, I could have got to 280 like Arnold did, But I said, they're not going to. No, they want a guy that looks like he's a decathlon athlete. They want a guy that looks like an athlete
Lean
that's
muscle.
in shape. Yeah. And I went, okay. So I remember one of the auditions, all the guys in there really were all just good-looking athletic guys. There weren't any bodybuilder types in there.
Yeah.
So I said, okay, they wanted a different kind of Hercules. You could see that in the clothing we had. I had leather pants. They had 3 layers of leather, and a chamois top. So it wasn't like wearing a toga or anything like that. So it was. I call it more like Malibu Hercules. So. But in New Zealand on top of it, which has more lush vegetation than the Amazon does.
Yeah.
So it was a whole different look, and we put a lot of comedy in it, which was fun. I think a lot of people enjoyed the comedy.
Okay, the comedy. I heard you one time, Kevin, on an interview.
Right.
And you had to do something where you had to kiss a guy. And you said that was hard to do because you're a flaming heterosexual.
Yes.
And I said
that was in a movie. That was in a
line.
movie I did. That was in a movie called Meet the Spartans. It was a spoof on the 300 movie.
Uh-huh.
And instead of high fives, the Spartan world had to kiss a guy on the lips.
Yes.
So I said, dude, it's going to be very quick.
Yes.
It's going to be very quick. So they use that against me. Then you're gay, and I said, okay, right, I'm gay.
Yeah, well, I've taken that line before and used it from the pulpit.
I'm a flaming heterosexual.
Yeah.
Truly, it's a true story.
I love that. Okay, so I think a lot of people know you best, the younger crowd, for being Professor Radisson.
Yeah, I think with God's Not Dead and What If and Soul Surfer and movies like that, Let There Be Light, I get stopped more now, even from the older crowd that were Hercules fans. I get stopped more now for the faith movies or family movies I do.
Right.
Every movie's a faith-based movie. If you're an atheist, that's a pretty strong faith to believe in nothing. That's a pretty strong faith.
Yeah.
But so I like to call them family-friendly movies with good moral messages, And I did a movie called What If with Dallas Jenkins, who directed that.
I love that movie.
What If, same writers that did God's Not Dead, came out 2 years earlier. My book, What If, it was a much better movie. But the trouble with independent movies, how do you get them out there?
Yeah.
We don't have, you shoot a $2 million budget movie, you don't have a lot of money to promote it. So we got to compete against Hollywood's 300 million woke movies that are with high violence, high sexualized, and they have $100 million to advertise it. So we need word of mouth. God's Not Dead, for whatever reason, got huge word of mouth, and we're grateful for that. But I'm wishing churches would support faith-based movies more.
Yeah.
And tell their congregation, get out there and support these movies. Because we all know theaters don't care what they show. They want to sell popcorn and sodas.
Right.
So,
All right, Kevin, you have done so many movies. Is there one that really sticks out in your mind? It's like, I really enjoyed doing this.
Well, I think I just mentioned it, What If.
What If was your favorite?
I put What If up there. There's a couple movies I directed that I love. Let There Be Light was phenomenal. Let There Be Light was a really good movie.
Okay.
I actually got a call from Netflix at that point. They wanted to start an inspirational division because of that movie. And then I did another one called Miracle in East Texas, which is a true story set in 1930. It's a true story about the largest oil find in the history of the world, right in the heart of the Depression. And I starred in it, I directed it, I starred in it, my wife's in it, John Ratzenberger's in it, Cliff from Cheers. And Tyler Mane was a WWF wrestler out of Canada, but he was in the Jason movies. He played the killer in Jason. He's 6'10", this big dude.
Yeah.
But it's a true story about these 2 con men that went through Oklahoma and Texas, wooing widows out of the money in fake oil wells. They actually strike oil.
Yeah.
And,
I've seen the trailer for it, but I haven't seen it.
It's a great movie. It's a great. Dan Gordon wrote it. Dan Gordon's an Oscar-nominated writer. He wrote The Hurricane for Denzel Washington. He was a showrunner on Highway to Heaven. He wrote 60 episodes for Michael Landon's series.
Oh, wow.
And I'm about to do another Dan Gordon movie. We're shooting over in Italy later this year.
Yeah. Okay, so Kevin, in your life, your journey with the Lord, when did you come to know Him in a personal way?
My whole life, I can say, but I think more during my teenage years when I'm more aware of it. I knew it as a kid, that I knew there was Jesus. I knew, I was 5-year-old, 6-year-old, and all kind of stuff. But we had a youth pastor in my church. I grew up in Minnesota, in a little suburb town called Mound, about 30 miles west of Minneapolis.
Not everybody's crazy in that state.
I think it's organized craziness.
Yes.
I think Tim Walz did not win that election. Voter fraud is rampant there. All my friends back home are Christian conservative, not on purpose. That's just they all are. Mm-hmm. I think if you show a map of every county in Minnesota, you probably got 98 of the 100 counties are red.
Yeah. That's like Illinois. It's kind of like that.
Oh, yeah, there's no question. The corruption is unbelievable. When you give these Somalians $9 billion, and there's probably more.
Right.
Now I got to work my butt off to raise $2 million.
Yeah.
Just to do a movie that's got a good message.
Start a daycare.
You got people like Omar, whatever her name is, saying we're a terrorist state. And I go, then go back to bloody Somalia.
Right.
Because everybody goes to Somalia on their honeymoon, don't they? It's just a wonderful, wonderful country to visit and to hang out. You go for the waters, right?
Yeah.
Ship them back home. I'm happy for our tax dollars to ship these back home. I'm sick of it. I really am. I'm as political as I'm a Christian. But it was really my teenage years, and I think my youth pastor that strengthened my foundation. My parents too, and there's no question. But
okay, so how does a guy like Kevin Sorbo make it in Hollywood being a conservative Christian?
Well, because it wasn't a problem up until I think Obama's presidency changed everything in the world. He's the one who said, when I'm president, I'm going to fundamentally change America. I told my wife, I said, if you told me the morning of our wedding you're going to fundamentally change me the minute we get married, I would have walked out the door.
Right.
And people are cheering, yes, let's change America, because why do you want to change it? You know? I mean, I love there's black voices out there like Charles Barkley, who's a friend of mine, and Shaq O'Neal, saying, why do we keep voting for the same people? How are our projects getting better? How is our education getting better?
No.
How is the abortion issue getting better? When we've, the black community since Roe v. Wade has taken 30 million blacks out of America through murder. I do a lot of pro-life speaking, and I'm sorry, you're killing a human being, and we've normalized that. It's no big deal. These are the same people that want to kill a baby, will chain themselves to a tree or get mad at you if you eat a sea turtle egg.
Right.
I mean, it's insane. It's insane. And I'm sure Roe v. Wade, I was pretty young to really know what was going on in 72, but I'm sure through those first 5 years, there were a lot of pushback, a lot of fighting. But as time goes on, Hollywood beats you over the head with it with their movies. Democrats beat you over the head. The public school system does. So we've had 3 generations grow up and think it's normal. That you just treat it like it's just a birth control method. No, it's a human life. At 22 days, there's a heartbeat.
Yeah.
So get me going. It's just the world's crazy right now. And Ronald Reagan was right. We're a generation away from destroying America, and we're already there. So now we need another generation to get rid of this other generations that have been such crazily brainwashed by our public school systems through our universities. You talked about God's not dead. When I joke I played an atheist college professor, I say that's redundant. Just say I played a college professor. You got it covered right there. That's pretty much it.
All right. One thing that strikes me when I did my research, Kevin, is, man, you stay super busy. You're doing lots of things.
Yeah.
And your latest project is what?
I got The Flood, which will be in theaters in October 2nd. I played Noah in it.
Okay.
I laughed at one of my buddies. He goes, are you too old to play that role? And I said, the dude was 600 years old when he built the Ark. He lived to be 900 years old. I mean, at 60, I'm still in a toddler stage in his life.
Yes.
But that's coming out October 2nd, The Flood, and then I've got a documentary out right now with John Lennox, which is amazing. He's an apologist.
I know John.
John is awesome.
Yes.
Awesome. And he's a retired math professor. He's debated Dawkins and Hitchens and all these.
Yeah, I've had him on the program.
He's an amazing man. So we shot 3 weeks in Oxford and 2 weeks in Israel. It's out right now on Amazon, Standing Against the World. Please go to standingagainsttheworld.com. Take a look at it.
When did you shoot that?
We shot that a few years ago.
Yeah.
But we really wanted to wait for some extra footage, and we put it together now. And we did kind of a restructuring of it with Ingenuity Films, Brent Miller's company. I did a documentary with them 4 years ago called Before the Wrath, dealing with the Second Coming. In fact, Jack Hibbs is one of the pastors that was interviewed in that thing. And it's before the wrath deals, it's got the Chosen type of coverage, just as great looking as the Chosen is, but it cuts to present scholars talking about the second coming, and then back and forth in that time period. Now I got a new one coming out with him in this spring called it deals with the Last Supper. It's called Eating with the Enemy. And it's I still got some narration to finish on it, but it's going to be amazing. But right now they can go to standingagainsttheworld.com. It's apologetics for dummies like us.
Yeah,
you can learn a lot from that. You know, and John is great. He won an award called a Pillar Award. They're presenting it to him tomorrow in Washington, D.C. I got to fly early tomorrow morning. I'm accepting it for him, along with his niece, Kristen Getty, the music world.
Yeah.
And so we're going to accept it for John's his traveling days are kind of getting over. His wife, Sally's very ill, so he's with her.
Yeah.
So I talked to him just a few days ago.
Yeah, when I interviewed him, I told him up front, I said, I'm a little nervous. I said, I've never had anybody as smart as you are on the program.
He is a perfect example of why homeschooling is more important. I remind people our founding fathers were homeschooled.
Yes.
The textbook was the Bible. Abe Lincoln was homeschooled.
Yes.
But ever since public education came in, it's only gotten worse. And everything, Ronald Reagan's right, everything that Democrats run, it gets destroyed. They should be forced to teach both sides of every issue. And they don't do that.
No.
In college universities, 23 liberals for every one conservative in our universities.
Right.
It's kind of a mismatch. I would love to do a documentary with these liberals and say, why do you want to destroy America?
Yes.
I'm just curious. Why is socialism so great?
Yes.
Well, it's never been done right. Oh. It only killed 100 million people in the last century. What are you doing with it now? Look what this guy's doing in New York City already.
Yes.
He's already raised the taxes by homeowners. The property tax 9.5% higher. He's raising it.
Right. I mean, you knew he was going to be a disaster. And I've said before, okay, he's a Muslim socialist. As bad as socialism is, the worst issue is he's a Muslim.
Yeah.
I mean, that's going to come out.
Is every Muslim bad? No. But 9/11 wasn't Christians flying buildings. You know? It's so funny when people, Muslims are bad, they get angry with me. I'm going, I don't see any of them having riots over the right side of the fence.
Right.
I mean, I've seen plenty of interviews. I've seen plenty of people marching in streets in London, the Muslim population, and also the same in France, where they've taken over basically 25% of those cities, and Sharia law is now the rule of the day.
That's exactly right. Explain
to me how I don't care. Even Thomas Jefferson said, we got to watch what's happening. And Thomas Jefferson was talking about this back in the 1700s.
Right. Well, you're listening to Real Truth for Today. Pastor Jeff Schreve talking to Kevin Sorbo. We'll be back with more. Don't go away.
If you'd like to contact Pastor Jeff, email pastorjeff@fromhisheart.org. Now, back to Real Truth for Today with Pastor Jeff Schreve.
Welcome back to the program. Pastor Jeff here, and I'm talking to Kevin Sorbo. Kevin Sorbo is, I could call you a man after my own heart just listening to you for the last 15 minutes because, Kevin, one of the things I hate as a preacher is the word nuance. People are they're dancing around issues. They don't tell what they really think. It's a bait and switch in a lot of churches. I just believe we need to tell people, thus says the Lord, and let the chips fall where they may, and I appreciate that about you. You're very upfront.
You know, churches don't even want to work with each other anymore. It's the same God, guys. I mean, we got to band together and work together. I'm even finding that within production companies, even within my world, that they won't promote your movie. I'm willing to promote any Angels movies, Irwin Brothers movie. We need to promote each other's product. Mm-hmm. And it's weird to me that we have to sit there and fight tooth and nail together. It's like, guys, make it work. I spoke, Minneapolis hosted the Super Bowl back in 2018 when Philadelphia beat New England Patriots. Mm-hmm. I'm from Minnesota. I got invited back to the Super Church in the suburb of Minneapolis. It was in Eden Prairie. And they were bringing back Minnesotans that were famous Minnesotans. So it was my world of entertainment. There was another person that was a pro athlete, another person that was a writer. There was like 7 of us that have gone on to do, being Minnesota people, gone on to have worldwide recognition for whatever reasons.
Right.
We get there. I knew I was doing this 3 months ahead of time. We get there on the night, there's maybe 500 people in that church. And I was like, what's going on? So I talked to one of the people that is part of that church. That was one of the main people within their church offices. And I said, I understand you got like 10,000 people that show up on Sundays. Oh, yeah. I go, where are they? He goes, well, this wasn't our event. They're renting our space. And I said, so wait a minute. So every Sunday, your pastor didn't get up there to say we were going to be here. No. Well, It wasn't our event. I go, but it's about people that have had success in industries that are here to talk about their faith journey with God.
Right.
Do you believe in God at your church? And she looked at me and gave me a sour face. I said, I'm sorry, but that's incredibly petty and unbelievably immature of your church not to support this event.
Yeah.
For us to talk. You could have charged them $10 each and given the money to some pro-life event or something. But that to me, that mentality right there made me go, wow, what is going on in the churches today?
Yeah. That doesn't make sense.
No, it was stupid.
All right, let's switch gears a little bit and talk about Greece.
Love it.
All right, you've been there before.
Went last year. Yeah, we take a group every year to Israel. Last year we decided to go to Greece, and it was to walk in the footsteps of the Apostle Paul. It was amazing.
Okay, so I've been to Ephesus.
Sure.
Ephesus is incredible. You see a lot of these ruins, and you think, oh, they built it up, and there's not much there. Ephesus has a lot there.
Yeah.
It's and you can't always go there. Sometimes when I went on one cruise, they wouldn't go.
Sometimes the Turkey government doesn't want you to go.
Right, right. So you got the go-ahead to do Ephesus.
Yep.
Okay, so if I'm a person listening and I think, man, that would be cool to go with the Sorbos, what can they expect?
You know what? It's going to be September 23rd through October 5th. Please join us. Go to Sorbo. sorbocruise.com. We're going to spend some time in land. You'll land in Athens. We'll do some stuff around the Acropolis, things that Paul did around that area. We're hopping on a boat. Last time we did all land. This is going to be getting on a boat, and we'll have amazing stuff to talk about in the boat. There's going to be events every night. You can show up to those things or not if you're tired, you want to hang out. And then every night, every morning, we'll be landing at wherever we land, whether it's Mykonos, whether it's Crete, whether it's Santorini, and Philippi, all these different places we're going to. Please join us. This is a bucket list opportunity for you to get. It makes the Bible come to life. And I found that when I first went to Israel to walk in the footsteps of Jesus. Same thing is going to happen in Greece. We'll have the Bible references. We'll be standing right there where Paul was, and I hope people join us. I think this is take your family. We're taking all our family and stuff like that.
How many can go?
We're going to cap it at 120.
Okay.
Because there'll be more people on the boat. The boat holds like 2,000 people.
Right.
But this will be our group at 120, and we're going to have amazing guest speakers at each of these places. We got amazing groups, people with us that are from Greek, that are Christians, that know the ropes better than we do. But it's going to be a wonderful thing. We're going to show a couple of our documentaries at night, a couple of our movies, and it's going to be fun.
Yeah. I say it again. How do they sign up?
Go to sorbocruise.com, and one of the movies I can get to see, because we just talked about the flood movie.
Yes.
Opens October 2nd. We'll be out at sea at the time. We're going to show them the movie while we're on the cruise ship. Okay,
so whoever Hollywood did Noah and ruined it, I wouldn't even watch it.
No, this is not Waterworld meets the Transformers. This is a much better movie. And my Noah is not an alcoholic, schizophrenic, hell-bent on killing his own family, as Russell Crowe's family, he's going to do to his family. And in his mind, in the script. Well, here's the thing. I went to that movie. I got invited to the premiere of it, and at the Paramount lot. So it wasn't like a regular theater. It was at the studio's lot to put together. And one of the producers came out, I imagine the token Christian in the whole movie, and told us all to remember, watch this movie with a grain of salt. Hollywood, Jewish Hollywood, the Old Testament is the Jewish Bible.
Right.
Hired an atheist director to direct the story of Noah. So that should tell you what Hollywood's all about right there.
Well, he was bragging about being the most unbiblical biblical movie.
Yeah. So I told my wife, halfway through, my wife said that, she said, this is Waterworld meets Transformers. On her way home, I said, you watch. I guarantee you, that movie will open big because all the Christian crowd will watch this movie. Cinematography looked beautiful. Beautiful. So I said that movie will do great opening weekend. Word of mouth is going to kill it. I said it's going to drop 60%. It dropped 64% of viewership. Usually a big movie does better the second week.
Yeah.
This dropped 64%. That movie lost $190 million.
Yeah, good.
And I saw Russell Crowe in an interview with what was it? I can't remember whose show it was on, but he was defending that movie, and I said, "Come on, man, the movie looked good, but it was a really stupid storyline."
Yeah, they had like rock creatures that were.
That was the Transformers, yes.
The Nephilim, I guess they were the Nephilim.
I know, but
okay. So your movie, where did you film the flood?
Believe it or not, we filmed it in L.A., and I've never shot in L.A. in many, many years. Almost everything I shoots outside of L.A. But it's all, obviously big with visual effects, just like all movies are nowadays.
Yeah.
But it looks pretty good.
Yeah.
I gotta say, I haven't seen the whole movie. I saw the trailer.
Okay, now, when you do your acting, you do the TV show. TV shows can be a grind. As opposed to a movie, which do you prefer?
1-hour TV shows is a lot more work than a movie. A lot more work than a movie, because in a movie you shoot at a slower pace. There's bigger setups. There's bigger, you shoot. You might shoot a page, 2 pages, 3 pages, or whatever. TV shows you're shooting 10, 12 pages a day. When I got Hercules, Joe Pesci's a good friend of mine, and we're out golfing together. I've known Joe since the late '80s. And when I got that show, he goes, "Oh, he drops the F-bomb in every sentence."
Yeah.
And he goes, "You're screwed." And I go, "Why?" He goes, "You're never going to work harder in your life." And he was right. I mean, that series, I was easily 16 to 18 hours a day, door to door.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then you gotta be lifting weights during that.
I was counting working out.
Okay.
The drive time to location, shoot 12, 14 hours, go to the gym, work out an hour and a half. It was the first time I ever had a trainer. I always worked out on my own. Yeah. But at the end of the day, I needed somebody to push me.
Right.
And it was just really to keep in shape. I mean, I was always in good shape.
Yeah.
But I'm not Hercules strong now. I probably couldn't do most of my stunts that I did back then.
Yeah.
But
I heard Dean Cain say that when he did Superman. He's like, man, I'd go home and I have to lift weights.
Oh, sure.
To stay strong.
Bring up Dean's a good friend. I originally booked that role of Superman. It got down between Dean and I. We both did a screen test with Terry Hatcher, who played Lois.
Yeah.
And it was at the Warner Brother lot at Lorimar Studios. And Dean was there. I was there with the last two guys. They called me that night. You got the role. 24 hours later, they said, "We changed our mind. We're going with Dean."
Really?
And so welcome to the highs and lows of the industry of Hollywood. But about 3 months later, I got Hercules. So his show got canceled after 3 years. Mine went 7 years and became the most watched show in the world. So I remind Dean that all the time.
All right.
But Dean's a good buddy. We do a lot of movies together still.
Yeah.
We do a lot of small independents with JC Films, which is we'll go in and do maybe 3 days on these little faith-based movies. But
he's in God's Not Dead.
He's in God's Not Dead as well. Yeah. Yeah.
And that was one of the coolest scenes where his mother talks to him.
For a minute, because I can relate to that scene.
Yeah.
I'm not that mean. I mean, he was mean, and he was a total atheist in the movie. But I can relate to the scene because my mom right now is going through dementia. And my grandfather did as well.
Yeah.
And I remember one time I was like 28 years old. My grandfather was 81 years old. And he looked at me and he says, "Hey, Kevin." And I looked at him and I said, "Hey, Grandpa, how you doing?" Because he didn't know any of us. Mm-hmm. And he just had a few minutes. He said, "You know what? I know it's my birthday coming up, but I'll tell you what, I was 18 yesterday." Now as I get older, I understand that because I remember being 18.
Yeah.
And you're going, these decades have flown by.
Yes.
But then like 5 minutes later, you forgot who it was. And in that movie, that was such a great moment. When his mother
that was one of the key moments of the movie. I thought.
No question.
It was eerie. It was just kind of.
It was so well written. Uh-huh. Chuck and Carrie, really good writers, and we're trying to put together with them a series right now that I play a character. It's got a quantum leap supernatural feel to it, where they wrote What If, God's Not Dead, Unplanned, Nefarious. My buddy Sean Patrick Flannery
Nefarious
is in.
was great.
And so there's a series we're talking about doing right now where I get. My character, who plays like an agnostic type of guy, gets thrown into people's bodies who are dying that day. He's got to figure out a way somehow to save those people's lives.
Oh, wow.
Because if he doesn't, he'll die with them.
Okay, you as an actor, do you like playing, like what if you're playing a preacher?
Sure.
Okay, God's Not Dead, you're playing a college professor who's an atheist, which is the same thing, as you told us.
As I told you. Yes.
Okay, which do you prefer playing? Do you like playing the good guy or the bad guy?
I like playing the bad guy if there's redemption. If there was no redemption with that professor in God's Not Dead, I don't know if I would have been interested in the role.
Yeah.
Hercules is mythological, but we had a lot of morality in Hercules, and the writers did that. Today's world, they probably make him a transgender. I don't know.
Yeah.
Or make him a woman. That's a real woman.
Right.
They would change the characters completely, because Hollywood's doing that a lot right now.
Yeah.
Where they're replacing the characters we know as completely different characters. I can't remember this actor's name. He's a Danish actor, and they won some award. It dealt with a movie during Denmark during the 1400s, and it won an award at the Cannes Film Festival. And he and the director. The actor and the director up on stage, and they had all the 80 reporters out there. One reporter stood up, and of course another woke reporter, and he said, "Well, I found it offensive that you guys had no diversity within your movie." And they looked at each other first, and the guy said, "This was Denmark in the 1400s. I'm sorry,
Right.
there were no black people in Denmark in that time." And that's the weird thing. Why can't people make the movies they want to make? I don't care if Hollywood wants to do that.
Right.
I think it seems to have hurt them. I know they had a woke Snow White movie that lost like $200 million.
Right.
So keep making it if you guys want to keep losing money, because people want to see it's just weird to me that they got to do that, but they feel they got to put their hand in there and just change everything, which is weird.
All right, let's talk about extracurricular activities. You like to play golf.
I love golf. My dad, I'm the fourth of 5 kids. My dad was a school teacher. There's no money in school teaching. And so they taught hard work for all of us. I remember a lot of my clothes, my hand-me-downs to my older brothers, but I started paper out when I was 9 years old. For 7 years, I got up at 4:30 in the morning, 6 days a week in Minnesota winters, delivering 80 newspapers every morning. And every 2 weeks going out to try to collect $1.80 from each home. And so I learned hard work very quickly. Mm-hmm. And so my dad obviously had to work another job. So in the summers, he got a job at a public golf course, and he worked his way up, became the manager of the course for 27 years. And so he made us golf. So 10 years old, he goes, "Take advantage of this.
Yes.
It's free because I'm working here. We can afford public golf."
Right.
So after baseball, I'd run out there, and all 5 kids, we all worked those courses when we got older. Mowing the fairways, mowing the greens, working the counters. The golf was in my blood. Mm-hmm. And all my buddies, of course, I played football and basketball and baseball with, made fun of me for golfing.
Yes.
They all golf now.
Yeah.
Where I'm still very good friends with my high school and college buddies. Every summer I go back home, we all get together and golf. But I love it. It's a great game.
Well, okay, so I played basketball in school.
Sure.
Football, and wasn't much of a baseball player. There's no sport as hard as golf.
No. That's what, and every pro athlete will tell you that. Michael Jordan will tell you that. I mean, it's the most frustrating game you'll ever have in your life.
Yeah.
I was a 1 handicap at one time. I'm a 6 now. I don't practice anymore. I just go play.
Yeah.
I need my fix. I won't join. I'm lucky enough I can join a country club now, but I won't join anywhere unless they let me tee off first.
Really?
Yeah, and they learn real quick. And I tell the grounds crew, the head guys, don't worry about it. I do 18 holes in about an hour and a half. I play fast.
Yeah.
I shoot every. My
yourself?
score is 76 to 82. That's why I'm in like 80% of the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, well, there's a Toronto buddy I play with occasionally. When he's back 6 months in the year, he's out of Canada, and then he spends winters down here. Uh-huh. He's got his card, I got mine, and maybe we're an hour and 45 minutes together, but we fly.
Okay, so how far does Hercules hit it off the tee?
I don't hit. I'm not big off the tee.
Come on, you're Hercules.
That's how. Yeah, but I'm immortal. No, I'm maybe 250 now. I was the 280, 290 back in the day. I'm a 60-year-old dude now. I can't hit as far, but I got a good short game.
Yeah.
My iron 150 yards in, and my putting is pretty good. I played with everybody from Tiger Woods to Arnie Palmer. I mean, I played with them all.
Yeah.
I've got one coming up at in LA, not LA, in Florida where I live. I play in the Champions Tour. So last year I played with Bernard Langer, and I played I know all those guys.
Who's your favorite?
Tom Lehman's awesome.
Really?
Tom Lehman, Peter Jacobson. They're all really pretty good guys. I got to tell you, you got as a whole, as a professional athlete, those guys as a whole, I think, are nicer than other athletes in professions. Yeah, they're just good guys.
Yeah, very good.
Yeah.
Well, Kevin, thank you so much for being
pleasure.
my guest today. It's been a lot of fun.